Now I'll be today's moderator. As you know, today's webinar will be presented by Gold and Silver Giving, the first nonprofit certified by the IRS to receive gold and silver contributions from donors and give the donor 100% of their true gold or silver value as their tax deduction. But before we get started, I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me. If you can go over to the control panel and click on the hand icon. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes there, or a few seconds. All right, great. So everyone on this webinar will be muted. If you have any questions, simply type them into the question field or the comment field located on the control panel, and we'll try to answer as many questions at the end of the presentation. So now let's welcome Mike Caggiano from Gold and Silver Giving.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. I appreciate everyone being on the webinar today and getting a little time to talk about something we're pretty excited about with Gold and Silver Giving. As we started looking at Gold and Silver Giving a couple of years ago as an option for nonprofits to raise new kinds of fundraising dollars, we realized that we fell kind of into that middle ground between asking for cash contributions and other things that were non-cash, like cars or silent auction items, things like that. So as we go through this, I think you'll see that what we've done is really tried to make this a very seamless program for nonprofits both to implement in a very easy fashion, but more importantly, be able to be something that donors understand very quickly and can dip into to hopefully help your different organizations raise funds that maybe before you wouldn't normally be able to tap. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. Our common mission is really to work with you, the fund, to really create that new resource for raising this new revenue. The program and the way we work is pretty straightforward. We organize gold and silver collections, working with our nonprofit partners, both with donors they've had in the past and donors that they're looking to develop for the future. We really give donors a way to kind of recycle something that may be sitting unused. Could be in a jewelry box, could be in a safe deposit box, could be in the basement with a bunch of boxes of old silverware they never use. And by being able to do this, they're able to raise some pretty significant donations without using financial resources. Someone who may be tapped out on their giving cash-wise has a great opportunity to utilize this to then make a significant donation while actually cleaning out what they have. As a little bit of a sidebar, we are looking at different programs during the spring that revolve around spring cleaning, getting rid of some of your old stuff. In fact, one of the nice things about this is, we really do, and I think you saw the motto on the front, we really do take stuff from yesterday and turn it into something that people can use, for nonprofits and what they're doing with their mission, both today and tomorrow. So that's a big focus of ours is making sure that this is a resource that gets recycled and put toward a great cause. Donors don't have to do this on their own. There was a lot of intimidating parts of this process as we were doing the research over the last couple of years where folks really have an opportunity not to have to go to a pawn shop or a jewelry store. It can be intimidating when someone's telling you what something's worth. You don't know how much it's worth. They don't show you exactly how they weigh it. They don't tell you the price of gold. They don't tell you what percentage they're giving you. And so it's a very difficult time sometimes for folks to say, okay, I'm going to go get my stuff. I'm going to go take it to a pawn shop. I'm going to take it to a jewelry store. I'm going to hope I get a really good amount for it. And then I'm going to give that to my charity. This way, they cut that step out. There's no longer a reason to do that. Well, by doing that, if you look at that fourth bullet, donors get a tax deduction for 100% of what the gold or silver value is of that donated item. So if they donate something that has an ounce of gold in it to Gold and Silver Giving on your behalf, then they get a tax deduction for an ounce of gold and what that value would be on that particular day that they made the donation. So having that opportunity, rather than going to that pawn shop or storefront gold buyer we talked about earlier, they may only get 30 or 40 cents, maybe 50 cents if they're lucky on the dollar for what the gold value is. When they donate that, they're basically getting that 50 cents on the dollar as their tax deduction. So this way, they're getting 100% as their tax deduction, and you as the charity are going to get 70% of the resulting amount. So our percentages, and how we've bundled together our work with our refiners, how we are working internally to be able to keep our costs low as a nonprofit, we can then take 70% of whatever we receive and give that to the nonprofit for both gold and silver. We're the first 501c3 of our kind that the IRS has certified that the actual precious metal content can be the legitimate tax deduction. Now, in the past, you had to be a security, you had to be something that was a non-cash item, had to be something like a security, like a stock certificate. In the 18 months that we were before the IRS getting this tax deduction and our charity status, we actually worked with the IRS to explain that as a commodity, similar to what you see with commodities on the markets, there is a daily price, there is a content amount, meaning a certain amount of troy ounces or whatever that precious metal is, and that amount, if you multiply the two, should be the legitimate tax deduction for the individual. What the IRS did was they made us put a lot of circuit breakers in to make sure that we were valuing this the right way, that we were certifying it, that we had a two-step process, and that we were experts at it. So I think we made them comfortable with that, and so they gave us this ability to be able to give this deduction. Our nonprofit partners, I think I mentioned, they receive 70% of the actual content. It's a lot higher than what you'll see out in the marketplace. And because we're a nonprofit and we're not a gold buying service disguised as a nonprofit, we have to be very transparent and accountable to the IRS. We'll tell you, we literally can tell you exactly what the percentages are that go to our refiner, that go to shipping, and that we use to run our organization. The interesting thing, if you ever looked on the web, there are a few places out there that say that they are, that they'll take gold as a donation and then make a donation to either their charity or your favorite charity. What they don't tell you is how much they're going to value that at, how they're going to make that transfer, exactly how that percentage is going to be calculated. And usually when you dig down, you realize it's not a nonprofit, but it's just a web page of a for-profit gold buying site. So we do think that we are very, very unique in that regard. And then the last thing is the valuations and tax documentation needed by donors for the IRS. We provide all that, so we'll send out a donation letter, and we'll copy you on those donation letters so you know who is donating. And the tax documentation as well that they need. If it's over $500 and they need an 8283, we'll provide it. What makes us an effective option for you? There's no infrastructure costs. All of the sorting, the office space, the FedEx costs, the X-ray technology we use to make sure that whatever is donated is gold and silver, the closed-circuit cameras, the insurances, and everything else is done by us. So none of your staff time really needs to be assigned other than publicizing the program, and in some cases, your charity may want to get, or you as a group may want to get these donations sent to you or dropped off at your office instead of having people send them individually to us, and we're okay with that. We give you the FedEx label to be able to then send it to us. So if you feel it's easier during an event you have or during one of your gatherings to be able to do this, some people do it through a ball or a event that they might have, a golf tournament, then usually that's where these things can get collected and sent to us. But there's no other staff time. There's no other staff time to sort it other than sticking whatever the donations are into that FedEx and then shipping it off. The return on investment then is pretty good. So, an inexpensive email explaining the program, and then some, if you have a normal mailer that goes out, you can explain the program to folks and either have them drop it off or send it to us directly. You've already got communication. It could be a newsletter. You've already got communication protocols for being able to let people know about what's going on. This is a great way for them to see, hey, this is a wonderful opportunity to take something I'm not using and put it to good. And the last bullet, we're insured, we're audited, we're very open in the process we have. And there's really just two steps, really, that the charity needs to take. Solicit, ask for a gold, silver, jewelry donation from their donor base, or through new donors for that matter. We're starting to look at things like YouTube videos. We're starting to look at things like radio advertising in the marketplace, to be able to solicit these types of donations. And then once you've solicited them, just have the donor send these either directly to us or collect those donations at your offices, and we then give you the FedEx return to be able to get it to us. What does a donor need to do? They got to go find this stuff. Jewelry boxes, broken chains, single earrings, old rings, brooches. Brooches used to be in vogue, and now obviously they may not be as much. So a lot of these things are sitting there. People don't know what to do with them. What we're asking is that they go look for those things. And how many people have had, a number of people who've had 2 or 3 sets of silverware that they get for a wedding, stick them in the basement, and they've sat there for years. Well, spring clean them out, go find them, send them in. And once they send them to us, we do it by a prepaid trackable FedEx. And like I said, where they can be sent to your office to be given to us. Me, I formed this about 2 years ago. I was the one really negotiating this with the IRS. I've had this as a hobby for 35 years. I've been working on valuing gold and silver items for a long time, and it was kind of a family thing. My family had an interest in it. Back when I graduated from college, gold had zoomed up to a pretty high price, so really got a little bit of the gold bug myself back then. I founded the National Association of Precious Metal Refiners and Appraisers, and I've been an executive in the Washington, D.C. business community for a long time and have been working with nonprofits since about 1980, both on boards and part of executive committees, both local and national nonprofits, to really affect change in the community, and have felt very rewarded by it. As a result, by being able to take a passion of mine for gold and silver, I've been able to really meld it together with a passion for helping the nonprofit community. Our board, I just threw a few of our board members up. We have the #2 person for National Industries for the Blind on our board of advisors. We have the past president of global marketing for Blackboard. It's a public company that deals with software with schools. We've got the past board of trustees for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and the Heart Association in the National Capital area. Someone from United Charitable Programs is working with us, and we've got the CEO of Brighter Strategies, which really works with nonprofits on strategizing how they're going to go to market, both with new mission items, new ways to raise money, brand strategies, and things like that. So that's just a sampling of our board. We've got more people teed up that we think are going to come on board shortly and help us expand our reach even more. I think I talked earlier about how we maximize the tax deductibility and the payouts. This is just a chart that really shows that the tax deductible percentage is the actual amount of the gold or silver that's given, and you can see that 70% goes to the charity. And again, it's really, really key that if someone wants to donate to a charity, it's up to them. We're letting them select the charity that they want. As a result, it gives them an opportunity to make sure that everything that they're giving goes directly toward what they want to focus on. And by having the higher payout, which you can see on the right, it does actually increase pretty significantly the amount both going to the charity and obviously accruing to the benefit of the donor. We do provide email and direct mail solicitation templates to our nonprofit partners. So if you've got something that if you want to roll the program out, it's just a matter of signing up with us, and can be done on the web, on our website, and I'll give you that later. It's www.gsgiving.org. If you have another window to open. And then, so we give you those templates so you can take a look at what it is. We'll link your website to our donations page. We have a donations page where if you want to make a donation to a specific charity, we can link you there. If we're finding that there's a lot of volume, we'll actually customize that page for you, or you can have your own page on your own website, which directly, that you can gather the information on and have that sent to our support website, and we'll get the information out for that FedEx return. We have an 800 number, and we can take calls 24/7 from donors. We find that some folks are a little less web savvy, so having the 800 number really helps when it comes down to making sure that they have a way to contact us and give us the information necessary to be able to put that that package of their valuables, to us directly. And then we're personally available for any local gold or silver drive events in the Washington area. And if it's an event that's large and it's something that you guys have, we can try to make the time to get out to, help some other folks, outside of the DC area. And we get asked this a lot. When we first started working with Goodwill Industries in Washington, they wanted to make sure that we were secure in the way that we processed everything. The packages that your folks would be sending us are insured for up to $25,000. And to sidebar for a second, the average donation, I think, from some direct mail programs and that the average person may give, we've seen different stats, but they run around $25 a pop. When we look at gold and silver giving, usually a necklace and a ring, or a necklace and an earring or something small, can go for a pretty good amount of money. The average tends to be about $200 when someone is actually looking for something and sending it to us. We do try to emphasize the gold over the silver, but we were realizing that there was a market there where people may have silver instead of gold. So either one of those we take. But it is important to know that as we go through this, soliciting the gold first is probably the best way to go. We talked a little bit about the FedEx labels. It's pre-addressed, prepaid, so it's not that it can be redirected anywhere. We send them out a label. It's just a barcode, and it comes to our offices. We open our packages on camera. We weigh them, and we have them spot audited by a CPA firm. It's important because this is, you've seen the eye in the sky in casinos and things like that. I mean, you're dealing with, a lot of gold and silver jewelry, a lot of gold and silver items. We want to make sure that if someone says they sent us something in a package, that package is opened right there on camera, and that we are verifying that whatever was sent is actually gold or silver, and then recorded so that obviously the donor gets their benefit, but also to make sure that whatever that amount is going to the charity that that the person wants to have toward their mission. Our space is alarmed, double alarmed. It's secure. We have on-the-clock cameras, around-the-clock camera surveillance. We have a big safe. It can hold up to about $2 million of donations a day. Record keeping, another area that we wanted to make sure we had down when we first started the organization. Donations are individually recorded, so if you send something in, this is specific to you as an individual, has to be for the receipts that we give for the tax side. We talked about using the actual amount of the gold or silver in the donation, not the net to the charity. So the individual gets that 100%, not that 70%. We do generate the tax documentation. We credit the donations to specific programs. Now, in working with Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, they have a program where they want to know, obviously, the charity, but then which chapter and then which program, as in Man, Woman of the Year or Light the Night or Team in Training, then who the actual person is that's in that program that you want to donate it to. So we actually had to go down 4 levels with the type of record keeping we had to make sure that larger charities, as they have multiple chapters, multiple programs, multiple donors, are able to get credit where they want to have credit directed to. As a result, some of these large walks, some of the other things that happen out in the marketplace allow you to have allow you to get those funds directly to what you're trying to drive your donor to help you support. And then we disperse checks monthly. When we get funds in from the refiner, which is usually within 3 days to a week of receiving the initial donation, we wait till the end of the month, and then we cut checks right after the end of the month. To wrap up, really just to summarize, we like the fact that we've kind of got something new. It's very innovative. We've presented this to national charities. Obviously, we've got local charities in the Washington area using this, and we're now kind of in that process of looking to let any charity that has an interest in it begin testing their donor base and seeing what they might want to do with this. So we love partnering with folks. We love being able to give them something that maybe before they hadn't really thought of doing, to be able to get that donation in that they might not normally have captured. The larger tax deduction is great. We are that nonprofit for nonprofits. It does give us the opportunity to have a higher payout percentage. We don't have to worry about profits. We don't have to worry about investors in this. We don't have to worry about paying rent in the storefront. Those are all things which drive down the ability for a storefront gold buyer to give you the real price that you might normally get by not having to go through the middleman. The return is great. We'd think that there's a great return for little low investment. And the last point I just wanted to talk about, and I put this in here actually just after I had prepared the presentation, because we're a member of the MJSA, which is the Manufacturers, Jewelers, Suppliers Association. And one of the things that they're excited about having us as a part of that group, they're looking at us as a potential source of gold and silver that we're recycling domestically. There's been some press about conflict gold, as you all know about conflict diamonds, but some of these same areas where they have diamonds that are being mined, with slave labor and things like that, we're also seeing that there's a conflict gold issue with jewelers in the United States. By doing this, where we're recycling gold domestically, and to give you a few numbers, there's probably about $460 billion of gold in the United States alone that is in, that's mostly in jewelry, different types of, things like watches, all sorts of things that, a lot of people have. But by being able to take a portion of that and turn around and recycle it, we can limit the import or the need to import conflict gold into the United States. So that the jewelers are actually using something that's coming not only from a domestic source, but a domestic source that now is supporting nonprofits in the United States. And we just think that that's just such a great win-win. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to throw it in here at the end. Okay, this last slide is me, and it's my email over at the firm, obviously www.jsgiving.org. That is my cell phone on there. I didn't put the 800 number. The 800 number is on the web. If you'd like to use that and leave a message, that's great. But if there's anything specific you'd like me to ask about it, I'm happy to talk personally with anybody who's looking to roll this out. The one thing I can tell you, one of our advisors, one of our board members brought up, they said, it's interesting because as this thing catches fire a little bit, there'll be other people asking, some national charities, things like that. And, UCP is early on with this. And, United Charitable Programs, I think, saw the utility of this. And there is going to be a first pass through the jewelry box, so to speak. And, there's going to be an opportunity for someone to take this and put it toward some charity. And we think we'll be that vehicle to get that. We want you to be. We want someone who, sees this program, sees the benefit of it, to be the ones putting it out into their marketplace and being the ones that end up getting the benefit from it. So with that, I will move forward to questions. And if anybody has any questions, happy to take them at this point.
Sure. Thank you so much for that presentation, Mike. We do have a few questions here. So we're just in the neck of time. It's 5 minutes till 2:30, so that's great. Okay, so let me go through here and see what questions we have. How long does it take to get the funds from the donation?
Usually if the donation comes in on, let's say it's the middle of the month, we cut checks at the end of the month. I think I might have mentioned that, where once we actually get the cash from the refiner, and that usually takes 3 days for us to go through everything, get it out to the refiner. The refiner processes it in a day or two, gets a check back. And then we just cut checks at the end of the month. If someone really needed it quicker, we could probably do it twice a month. We could do it on the 16th, and well, we usually do it about 5 days after the end of the month, so we probably do it somewhere around the 20th and then the 5th of the following month. So we can do it in a 2-week cycle if someone really, really had a need for it. Most of the nonprofits we've been talking to have said, if we get it at the end of the month, we're not waiting, to the end of the quarter, the end of the year. That helps us, we'd like to get the cash in as soon as possible.
Great. The next question is, does this program cost anything?
No, there's no cost to the participating charities. We've put all the costs into this up front. The only cost you might have is if you wanted to send out a direct mail piece and you had a postage cost. If you do it by email, or if you do it another way by announcements or your normal newsletters, your normal communications, there's churches that can put this into church bulletins, things like that. There shouldn't really be any cost to participate. But no, there's no cost. I mean, we we have an agreement with the nonprofit, that as this stuff comes in, how that whole process works. We're, happy to share that if someone has an interest. It's just a memorandum of understanding that tells you exactly what we're going to do. We lay it out completely for you, but no, there's no cost to participate.
Great. Do you send a receipt to all donors or just the ones that give you a donation valued $250 or more?
We give a donation, we send out a receipt to all donors. So if someone gave us something and it was worth $50, we would send out a letter that said you gave us something worth $50. If it's 250, 300, 400, whatever, the letter goes out. Anything over 500, we'll send them out a letter that said they had a $500 donation, and they have to fill out their part of the 8283, and we tell them exactly how much more than 500 it was. So if they gave us a $1,500 donation, and this is very similar to a car donation program where you could donate a car and say you took $500 on it, but if you actually want to know what it was, I donated a car once and I had a $3,100 deduction from it, which was nice because I didn't expect it, and I filled out my 8283 and off it went, and I was able to then get that tax deduction. So now we take care of all of the documentation and all of the receipts, whether it's $50 or $50,000.
Great. Let's see. Is your nonprofit a private foundation or a public charity?
It is a public charity. We are a 501c3 public charity.
Okay. And next question is, what if there are jewels like diamonds in with the gold and or silver? Are they also recycled?
That's a good question. We usually, unless it's a significant, actually we have the donor sign a donation form and we say, take your diamonds or whatever out if you want, because we're only giving you the value for gold and silver bullion. Part of the problem in having to value a diamond or a precious jewel is then we can only do it based on the cash received for that. So, and that takes time working with jewelers, takes time working with a diamond market. If it's a significant jewel and it happens to come in, we will put that aside for the donor and the charity. We would then go out into the market and try to sell that, but there's commissions involved with things like that. So whatever the cash is that we would get in, once we got that cash in, then we would send a supplemental receipt to the donor or to the charity. But we hope that it's not going to be a huge deal. So if somebody's giving us a 3-carat flawless white diamond, that's wonderful. And if we get it, great. Then it's great for the donor. They'll get a receipt, and so will the charity. But if it's a $20,000 diamond and we can sell it for $10,000, it's only a $10,000 donation. It's not a $20,000 donation. So, and that's an exception for us. We obviously have a lot of gold and silver to process. As we get to the diamonds, that's why I said it's something we would put aside, and as we would get to that, and as we can get cash from it, we will, and then we would share that with the nonprofit.
Okay, great. And I have time for just one more question. What materials do you have available that I can provide to potential gold and silver donors?
It's a great question. We have a flyer that literally describes the program that we can give you. We have a donation form which has the instructions and how they need to drop it off, and we can customize that for you. There's usually 2 ways: either they drop it off to your office or they would send it in to us by FedEx, and you just tell us which one you want, and we give that to you. And we have a third form. We did this for Leukemia Lymphoma Society. It's a 1-page form that explains a little more briefly about the program, and it has the donation form at the bottom. So it's just a one-shot form that somebody can take a look at. All of this obviously can be put into an email, but we have it all designed out. We have the graphics and everything else so that if you wanted to print it in a newsletter, if you wanted to send it as a direct mail piece, if you wanted to email it out, we can accommodate that and make sure you have whatever you need to communicate with your donors.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much for your presentation today, Mike, and thank you everyone else for attending today's webinar. It has been recorded, and a video will be available in next week's newsletter on Thursday that comes out. So I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.
All right. And Stephanie, thank you, and thank everyone for participating today. I really appreciate it.
Yep. Great. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.